continuation of our the previous session, that is the introduction of the recruitment, we will be talking about that is what are the different training techniques and developments and how we are going to use. So, therefore, here we will talk about the introduction of the training, training development, training versus education, then the learning principles, the philosophy of training, different areas of training, types of training, a systematic the approach to training, training need assessments are there. Then these data sources and in training these need assessment, then Bible for the McDonald's employees, that is HRM in practices, then these methods of training on the job and off the job, and the evaluation of the training programs will be there. Now, whenever we are talking about the training, so it is a plan program designed to improve the performance and bring about the measurable changes in the knowledge, skill, attitude and the social behavior of employees. Now, I have also added one thing, that is in the training it is also about the knowledge, skill, attitude and the habit is there. And this is actually I have done one this project with the ICSSR, and that is called the CASE model. And in this CASE model, I am talking knowledge, attitude, skills and habits are there. And in this CASE model we are talking about that is the how knowledge, attitude, skills and the habits and the professional habits that can be developed, the competency of the employees are there. So, normally in the features of training is including the increasing the knowledge and skills, focusing on these the individual's job, that is the how he is how she is performing that particular job, then the concentrates on the individual employees and they gives the importance to the short term performance is there. So, training is essential for the job success. It can lead to a higher production and the fewer mistakes, greater job satisfaction and the fewer turnover is there. So, training is basically it is a matching the bridge, that is the existing skill knowledge and the expected or required skill knowledge and attitudes are there. Now, whenever we many times we are getting confused with the training and development is there. So, here are these the certain the concepts and are given, the characteristics are given, that is meant for the focus, scope, goal initiated by the content and the time frame is there. And these on basis of these learning dimensions in the training we are talking about the operatives are there, current job is there, individual employee, fixed current skill deficit management, specific job related information and the immediate. But this is not the only list because the many authors they have explained the many jobs and many training definitions are given, and therefore, in that case when we are talking about the training, it is mostly focused by most of the authors is on the skills and the development is given on that is on that particular application of the knowledge is there. So, these are the executives prepare for the future work demands are there, and here they are having the long term when these application of the knowledge is there. Now, we have to also understand the difference between the training and the education. So, training is more or less is job oriented learning is there skill. Education on the other hand is a person oriented and theory based knowledge, that is the whose main purpose is to improve the understanding of a particular subject is there, a kind of the conceptual learning is there. So, training pitfalls is a checklist to avoid the training pitfalls is attempting to teach the too quickly or trying to teach too much and these are the certain weaknesses in the training programs will be there. Or many times we see that is the all the trainers are equal, but all the trainees are equal and therefore, they are not these that is true, because there will be the different trainees which are having the different personalities and different learning orientation will be there, offering very little to the trainee in the form of the encouragement, praise or the reward is there, and that appreciation has to be there, but they may not be the in the proper training program. So, we have to understand the philosophy of training. The learning principles are the modeling is there, motivation is there, and basically when we are talking about the modeling, it is about the role modeling is there, or whenever we are talking about the motivation, we have to see the motivational practices which will be applicable to this particular type of these employees, and the reinforcement is there, and where in the reinforcement you will find that is whatever has been learned they are able to do it again. So, therefore, it is becoming the practice. And now, the feedback is also important because when you are giving the particular training, then it is necessary that is the you are getting the feedback from your these trainees, and then the trainees they may say where they are able to learn, where they are not able to learn. Then the space practice are there, So, there will be certain issues where the space practice will be there. Then the holistic learning, that will be applicable, that is the person has to learn now holistically about these particular situations. Sometimes it should not be the only the lecture method, but there has to be the active preferences, there active practices are there which are making this particular type of training. The relevance is there, so their relevance to the job, whatever the job is to be performed by that particular employee, and the knowledge of the training which has been provided, that has to be relevant. Similarly, the environment is there, there is a what type of the environment is going on, and this particular environment that will making them the more helpful is there. Now, here we will talk about a particular this model, that is about McDonald's model of this Bible for McDonald's employees. What are the HRM practices there? So, McDonald's is an American hamburger and fast food restaurant chain, and it was founded in 1940 as a barbecue restaurant operated by the Richard and Morris McDonald is there. McDonald's famously and relentlessly standardize every aspect of their product in order to eliminate the need of the human input, and the operations and the training manual, and that is known to the staff as the Bible, provides the detailed prescriptions on every aspect of the working life is there. It's 600 pages. They include the full color photographs illustrating the proper placement of the ketchup, mustard and pickle on every type of the burger is there, and set out the 6 steps of the counter service, and even prescribe the arm motions that should be used in salting a batch of fries. So, therefore, it is so minutely you will observe, that is it has been given the detailing. This is the example. For example, the arm notions are there, and therefore, in that case the positions which are to be performed at the workplace, and that has been very in detailing, the training manual is there. Kitchen and the counter technology reinforce these instructions as the lights and buzzers tell workers when to turn burgers or take fries out of the fat is there, and the ketchup dispensers provide measured amount of products in the requisition flower pattern, and lights on the till remove the need for the serving staff to write out orders, as well as the prompting them to offer the additional items are there. So, here are the different areas of training. Training is generally offered in the following areas: knowledge, technical, social skills, and the technical skills are there, which we have talked about. Now, there are the different methods of training. Basically, the methods of training has been classified into the two aspects. One is the on the job training, and other is the off the job training is there. And the on the job training, it is the apprenticeship program is there, which is nowadays becoming very popular in the industry in India, where the apprenticeship training has been given to these young and talented potential manpower. Then the job instruction training is there, that is the JIT is there, and then the planned progression is there, that is how this career development will be there. Similarly, the job rotation, that is how job will be rotating, and the creation of assistant are the two positions are there, and therefore, in that case it will be the positions where they will be creating these particular situations. Temporary promotions are there, where they will be able to go get these particular temporary promotions. Committees and junior boards are there, where they will be getting these placed, and they will get the training, or they might be the coaching will be there, that is on the job there will be the coach, and who will be providing this particular type of the training is there. There is another method that is called the off the job training. On the off the job training, that is the lectures are there, or there are the straight lectures, discussion methods are there, discussion forums are there, and they discuss on that, demonstrations are there, the seminars and conferences are there, and reading television and video instructions, business simulations, cases presentations, equipment simulations, business games are there, and the experimental exercise, role playing, behavior modeling, the computer modeling, vestibule training, sensitivity training, and the computer based training is there. So, these are the different methods are there, they are called the on the job methods, and the off the job methods are there. Now, whenever we talking about a training process, then the systematic approach to the training is assessment, implementation and evaluation. Now, unless and until we do not have the proper understanding of the training needs. Training needs are to be identified, and when we are identifying these training needs, we will be able to find out that is the where the our manpower requires training. And how to find out? Well, the basic source is always there, the performance appraisal forms are there, and wherever the employee who is scoring low, then we will say that is the here is the need for the this particular training needs are there. Then the identifying the training objectives. The training objectives are the those objectives where they will be identifying that is the matching with the organizational objectives, because we know that is the it is the organizational objectives and it is the individual objectives. So, whenever we are talking about the organizational objectives and the individual objectives, it becomes important that is they both are matching. And here when we are talking about these training objectives, so this will be the also required for the individual for improvement of his knowledge, skills, attitude and habits. And by improving this knowledge, skill and habits, the organization is also understanding that is the he will get the it will get the better employees, better performer will be there after this particular training. So, therefore, in that case individual has to be very much specified then as compared to the general training is there. Then the implementation, the training methods are there, different training methods in conducting the training programs, and then the evaluation is there, that is a compare training outcomes against the criteria is there, and benchmarking practices, and against the benchmarking practices you will understand that is how training was done. So, a systematic approach to training would consist of three phases: training need, implementation and evaluation. And whenever we are talking about this essentially involves that is the organizational analysis, where the organization is strong, where is the organization weak, where the organization's future is there. For example, the organization is going to be the totally computerized or the automated organization, then definitely on basis of this analysis you will require manpower to be developed. Or organization analysis is organization is going to close, because we know that is the life cycle of the organization, and in the organization's life cycle if it is not like this then definitely it will go down. So, therefore, here the training will make it this organization further. So, it will not be the here, it will be here. So, therefore, in that case it is organizational analysis is very important to know the future of the organization and predict how the life cycle of the organization is for long time. And then the task or the role analysis are there, that is identify what is the task, what is the role, what is my role, what is the role of the person who is getting the training. So, therefore, the trainer, trainee, they should understand that is what type of the role analysis they have to do. Person analysis is there, the trainee himself, whether the trainee himself is capable or not to doing this particular type of this fulfillment of the requisitions. And the person analysis is there, individuals analysis is strength, weaknesses, opportunity and threats, whether the person is having those opportunities or not, and the identifying the training objectives are there. So, all these aspects that has to be required to be the match. Unless and until these objectives are not matched, then definitely there will not be the outcome will be there. So, here whenever we are talking about the innovative methods anticipating the problem before they occur. So, you know, many times the researchers they identify the trend analysis, they identify the economic recession, when there will be recession, they identify what will be the changes in the society, social practices are there. For example, the kids now these social trends are keep on changing and the mobile is becoming the part of life. So, therefore, in that case it is anticipating the problems before they occur. Team building sessions with the departments are there, therefore, it works as a team rather than as an individual, otherwise there will be no coordination. I am sure you know the difference between the group and team. Department is a group, but when the department employees they work with the coordination with each other, we will say it is a team performance is there. Problem solving is there, that is a training, that is a class to reduce the complaints. Everybody who is going approaching to that particular staff, then definitely the staff should be able to understand and minimize the needs of the trainee. Training supervisors in communication to reduce the grievances are there. Naturally, whenever there will be the new things learning will be there will be the some barriers there, and those barriers are to be removed. So, in the training program this becomes very quick action is required, that is the what are the barriers are there where the training is getting obstacle, and therefore those remove the obstacles and make the smooth functioning of that particular training. Then it will be the orientation of the program, that is what is the orientation. Orientation is what? Support the individual objectives. Why to support the individual objectives? Because then the employee will be able to perform better way at his level. So, then the recurring the training of the interviews frequently, and refresher courses on the safety the procedures, that is also required. So, data sources used in the training needs assessment are the organizational analysis, task analysis and person analysis. In the organizational analysis, we are talking about the organizational goals, personal inventories are there. What are the personal inventories? Personal inventories, scale, semi-scale, what type of the manpower do I have, organization has, what type of these knowledge workers it is having, that will be deciding about the organizational analysis. Skill inventories, what type of the skills are there. Organizational climate analysis is there, and therefore, in that case you will find that is to understand what type of the climate or culture organization is having and adopt that culture and work in that particular direction. Efficiency indexing is there. So, therefore, in that case a benchmark, is there, and a productivity is required. If that productivity a benchmark the employee is able to attain as per the organizational needs, then definitely efficiency index will be high. Management requests are there to get the particular jobs to be done, and the exit interviews are there. If the employee is not fit for that particular culture and climate, he will resign, and there will be the exit interview. Whenever we are talking about the training assessment for a task, then the job descriptions are there, and in the job specifications are to be. So, job will be described, that is what job is to be performed, and the specifications are the minimum job qualifications required to that particular job. So, for example, it is the engineering job. So, engineer qualifications will be the minimum job specifications. Performance standards are required. Normally, the performance standards are decided on the basis of the other benchmarking industries at their similar nature of industries. Analysis of the operating problems, why some persons are able to do, some persons are not able to operate that particular machine. Asking questions about the job, what is the job, what type of job is to be done, and then the training committees are there where they will be talking about, that is the different training committees, those who will be organizing this training, and then performing the training, evaluating the training, getting feedback, improving the training, and then again comment the training. The person analysis will be through the interviews, that is what a person knows, he does not know. Performance appraisals will be there, and but this will be in the writing, and therefore, the questionnaire survey will be done by these organization, that is identify, that is what are the training needs are there. And then the training progress will be there, and management by objectives, MBO or the work planning systems are there, and according to MBO the test will be there which will be required to be performed, and the role play and assessment centers will be there which will be performing on the job. Now, there as I mentioned, that is there can be the different types of training, that can be the skills training. It includes certain basic skills like reading, writing, computing, speaking, listening, problem solving, etc. are taught, and therefore, in that case it is a skills training will be required, so that the worker he is capable to perform that particular task and then getting the objectives or goals of the organization. Refresher training is there, is on the short term courses that would help employees learn about latest developments and their respective fields are there. So, therefore, we have to see that is there should be a time period, maybe the 3 years, maybe the 5 years, and on basis of this time period there will be the refresher course, and on this refresher course that they will be deciding about, that is the what is the development is there. And the cross functional training, this helps employees perform operations in areas other than their assigned jobs are there, and therefore, in that case it has been seen those sometimes it also happens, there is a person is doing some assigned job, and later on for temporary purpose he is given the another job and he does the best. So, the organization transfer him from one place to the another place. Team training is there, this is concerned with the how team members should communicate with each other, how they should cooperate to get ahead, and how they should handle conflictful situations, and how to find their way using collective wisdoms are there. So, therefore, that is a team training will be there. Nowadays, when we are talking about the skills, so there is a job knowledge skill, HR skill, conceptual skills, analytical skills, and therefore, in that case one more is that is a designing skills are there. So, in these finding out the solutions during the training, so there it will require that is how you are going to solve this particular problem, that is the creativity. So, whenever we are talking about these analytics and the role of analytics, that is that it is very important to identify that is what type of the job and skills the person is having, and therefore, in that case they have to think unconventionally and break the rules, take risk, go out of the box and develop the unexpected solutions are there. So, ultimately what is required? There are the problems, the solution provider is required. Diversity training is there, it aims to create better cross culture sensitivity with the aim of fostering the more harmonious and the fruitful working relationships among a firm's employees are there. Now, there might be the different types of these diversity in the different types of roles and jobs are to be done. The same employee is required to do sometimes the one job and then he is required in the second half will be required to do another job. So, therefore, there will be the diversity will be there. Literacy training, this is generally offered to those employees with a weak reading, writing or arithmetic skills are there. So, therefore, in that case the literacy training that can be also provided. Now, I would like to take certain examples. For example, the GCPL, that is a Godrej Consumer Products Limited, 1052 employees, nearly rupees 500 crore sales, and talent management systems allow bright employees to acquire a wide variety of skills through the job rotation. Example is sales systems, project management skills, IT skills, team building skills, etc. And the outstanding performance get the salary increases instantaneously. So, therefore, in that case to encourage and to motivate, that is the employees, they learn the different jobs in the one organization and they are not only they become, because with the change in the technology, with the change in scenario, that job might be obsolete. If dead jobs become obsolete, this person has to be adjusted somewhere. If he is already knowing that particular skills, then it will be very easy to adjust this type of employees, or in a positive way to get the better outcome for the particular employee, which he can do the certain jobs in a better way as compared to his regular job. Johnson and Johnson as their employees with over the 41,000 million global sales, and the Johnson Johnson constantly encourages its employees to upgrade their skills and knowledge through short term programs at institutes like IIM, Accelerate, etc. Apart from the rotating employees on the challenging task is there. So, therefore, in that case this will be the Indian Express for the cross functional training will be there. Now, on the job training method, this is a training directly received on the job. Here the trainee receives an overview of the job and the trainer actually demonstrates the job and the trainee is asked to copy the trainer's way. The trainee finally tries to perform the job independently is there. However, there are certain merits and demerits are there. So, trainee learns the fast through the practice and observations on the job training, and it is economical as it does not require any special sitting also, and in mistakes can be corrected immediately. The trainee gains confidence quickly as he does the work himself in actual setting with the help from supervisor, and it is most suitable for unskilled and semi-skilled jobs where the job requisition are simple and what has to perform. Demerits are the trainee should be as good as the trainer. If the trainer is not good, transference of the knowledge and the skills work will be poor. While learning trainings may be damage equipment, waste material cause and they cause the accident frequently. So, experienced workers can use the machinery while it is being used for the training is there. Now, on the job training there can be the coaching is there where the supervisor explains things and answer questions, throw light on why the things are done the way, and then he is helping to making the correctiveness in the mistakes, especially allow the trainees to do the mistake and learn coaching, thus require lots of technical skills. Mentoring is the another aspect where an experience to teach and train the someone with less knowledge and experience in a given area is known as the mentoring is there. And the mentor nurses supports and guides the efforts of younger persons by giving appropriate information, feedback and encouragement when is required. Now, how to make the successful mentoring, and in this particular training we find out that is the listen and understand, challenge and stimulate learning, coach, build self confidence, provide wisely, consult, teach by example, act as a role model, share experiences and offer engagement is there. While in the good mentees are there, listen, act on, advise, show commitment to learn, check ego at the door, then they ask for feedback, are open minded, are willing to change, are the proactive is there. So there is an excellent opportunity to learn, and the constant guidance helps the minute to be on track, using facilities to good advantages there. In many create feelings of the jealousy among quickly through continuous interaction other workers who are not able to show equally good performance. If mentors from the overly strong bonds with the trainees, unwanted favoritism may result, and this can have a demonstrating effect on the other workers, affecting their work performance in a negative way. So, on the job training methods are there, apprenticeship training is there, and put the under guidance of a master work typically for 2 to 5 years are there. Then the committee assignments where the trainee are asked to solve an actual organizational programs working along with the other trainees are there. Now, when we are talking about the off the job training methods are there, so there is a vestibule training, that is occurs of the job on equipment or methods that are highly similar to those used in the job is there. And this type of the training I have seen into the Hindalco, and where this type of the vestibule training is given. Similarly, I have also seen this vestibule training that is working under transformer in the RRVPNL, Rajasthan Rajya Vidyut Prasaran Nigam Limited, a discom in India of the electricity and power. So, role playing is there, and this is a development technique requiring the trainees to assume a role in a given situation and act out the behaviors associated with that particular role. Lecture method is instructor organizes the study material on a specific topic and offers it to a group of trainees in the form of a talk. The conference or the discussion method is there. The trainer delivers a lecture and involves the trainees in a discussion so that the doubts about the job to be undertaken get clarified. Programmed instruction, this is an approach that puts material to be learned in a highly organized logical sequence that requires the trainees to the respond is there. Now, finally, we come to the evaluation of a training program, and whether the training can be evaluated at 5 levels: reaction, learning, behavior, organization, and the results are there. So, important decision points in training evaluation may be considered are: should an evaluation be made? First, whether there is a need for evaluation. Who should evaluate this training program? What is the purpose of evaluation? That is, our objectives are to be clear. What will be measured? Then the how comprehensive will be evaluation be? Who was the authority and responsibility? What are the sources of data? How will the data be collected and evaluated? How will the data be analyzed and the responded? These all aspects that we will be considering during these all training programs. And finally, when we find out when our evaluation results are the positive, we continue with the same training techniques and tools, whether the on job training or the off job training, and matching the needs of the individual needs and the organizational needs. If you find that there is a certain modification is required, as I have discussed in the previous slide, then the learning methods are to be changed, and then we have to interchange the learning methods and see what is the output is there. I am sure this will be helping you to understand that is the how we can go for the different training methods are there. Now, what type of these analyticals will be applicable, that we will see later. First, we are understanding these concepts of that is the manpower functions of the different HRM, like the functions of these manpower planning in the previous slide, and in this slide we have talked about, that is about the how these the training methods are to be initiated, controlled and evaluated. Thank you.